and the other three that were with him. We know that we are a much better nation than the behavior we're exhibiting. And I really believe that one of the things my father stated, yes, we've seen a lot of violence during this period, or some violence, I should say. Overwhelmingly, we've seen nonviolent demonstrators.
Yes, that's true.
Dad said that violence is the language of the unheard, which means that he never condoned violence, but he understood, as I think many do around the nation and the world, the conditions that have caused this. But yes, we can and we will be better. This is an opportune moment for the United States of America, because not only are the eyes of people all over the world on us, they are with us. I don't remember a time when the world was protesting for an individual and really collectively for Black people's injustice. Because injustice anywhere, as Dad said, is a threat to justice everywhere.
Yes.
Now, soon we will have to discuss the notion, where do we go from here? Dad's last book was titled, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community? We are obviously in the midst of chaos, but humankind has to go to community. But we can't do that unless we are treating our fellow human beings in a humane and just and dignified way. Institutionally, we have to address racism. Dad and Mom talked about triple evils of poverty, racism. Dad said militarism. I sort of changed it to violence. Poverty, racism, and violence must be eradicated from our society.
Yes.
This nation and the world can do that if we choose. When ability meets will, there's almost nothing that we cannot do. But we have to ensure that ability meets will. And this condition has created that level of consciousness, I believe, like none before it. I see women and men and families and children coming together in a constructive way. But I think the institutions have to change. I'm glad to hear, Tony, you say that businesses are coming to the table, because I honestly have not seen this happen before. Business has to do a much better job, because if business joins with community and with elected leaders and everyone, we will see a different America tomorrow. When business says enough is enough and we're not going to take it anymore, that doesn't mean that people will have to resort to violence, but there's a constructive way, there's a humane, there's a dignified way that we can go through this process and change this system once and for all. But the system has to be changed at its core. Diversity, sensitivity, human relations, training is needed from kindergarten through college. That would create on its own a different human being, maybe a different police officer. Yes, we have to do serious screenings because police officers come from different places. This is not universal. There are many, many good women and men who are police officers who protect and serve every day. But there's also that element of those who exhibit extreme behavior that create many of these problems. And so we're at a place where we have got to change, and we've got to change now. Dad used to say now is the time. It actually has been long before now, but now is really the time that people want to see some responsible action quickly. I spoke to a couple of congresspersons yesterday and a congressperson this morning, and there's legislation that's being proposed to address racism for once and for all. I hope that those who don't agree will agree that there should be a cabinet position, just as I think there should be a cabinet position to address poverty. There's no way in the world that the United States of America, with all the resources we have, with a terrible economy right this moment, cannot address poverty, cannot address racism, sexism, homophobia, all of those issues. We are better than this. All we have to do is take those steps that need to be taken.
I'm getting chills hearing you speak. Your father speaks through you, and you have your own unique soul to add to it. But I know he and your mom would have to be so proud of you as a man and as a soul as you're continuing this. What are the things they're talking about legislating that you think can make the difference, and what can we do to support that?
So I think that some of the initiatives, the chokehold in Minnesota is not obviously barred. It can be used. When I first saw George Floyd, I automatically, before I saw the tape, I went to Eric Garner in New York just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And we saw a policeman use a chokehold on him and was prosecuted, but not convicted. So I immediately went there and said, what is wrong with our society that this continues to happen? Well, we can bar, there are ways. I mean, I remember when we used to apprehend suspects without even doing harm to them. So we have the capacity to do that, but our officers are trained to shoot and to shoot to kill. And that has to change, I believe. I think that community policing is certainly one of the issues, but some of this has to become legislation at the national level. Dad and his team and others adopted and worked to help create public policy. That's why we had a Civil Rights Act in 64, a Voting Rights Act in 65, fair housing legislation in 68. So there needs to be policy, new policy presented. And as I said, Congress is presenting that policy that directly addresses police misconduct and brutality. And I think the way we help is we need to be inundating our congresspersons, our senators, our president with emails, with text, and even the new TikTok, whatever the videos are the kids are using now. Every modality on the planet we need to use. That's what we can do. You don't even have to leave your home to use that, to send it to our congressmen, our senators, our mayors, even our judges. Everyone needs to hear that we can, these are steps that we can take, and we want you to take them. When the public hears and acts, as I said, ability and will creates action that we perhaps have never seen in our lives thus far.
Well, once again, I think this is the moment. We've got so much momentum with so many people from all races, all backgrounds, all religions that see the insanity of this, maybe for the first time because it's so in their face, but also I think it's the stacking effect that all African Americans have felt and experienced, but not everybody else has witnessed it directly. So it's invisible to them. And the stacking that you see with Trayvon Martin, a Michael Brown, Eric Gardner, Taylor, Arbery, Floyd. I mean, the names go on and on and on. And they've also